Right, welcome grade 12s to part 2, going through the rubric on how your project will be marked. So this is the various criteria of it. For like the first questions, we'll look at the most extremely low and the most extremely high. Okay, so if you had no idea of the definition or description, not clearly stated, not linked to the topic, so this is if you're completely off topic and there's no definition that is evident, then you could fail to answer the question. No conceptual understanding of the issue, meaning you don't understand what the question is asking you. And then as a 4, the definition and description of the human right violation has stated clearly and concisely and was related to the topic. So you need to be very clear and concise, so to the point. Provide an outstanding explanation and example showing exceptional understanding of human right violations and how it affects the community. So you need to have an outstanding explanation. You've covered all your bases and you make it clear and evident what you are trying to discuss. For the next one, fails to answer the question, no conceptual understanding. So that's if you do not answer the question. So there's nothing there. And you give your own position on the issue, showing critical insight as to how it influences one personally, right? That's to get the full marks. And here, now you need to name and explain the purpose of the law that protects citizens against human rights. So you can name and explain of the purpose of the above legislation is lacking or is weak. So if you don't understand it and your explanation is very weak, you would score this, and if your understanding obviously was excellent, you'd score 4. And then we have weak evaluation or lacks enough information. The report is unstructured with irrelevant information. And then the other extreme would be a good evaluation carried out, good information provided, learner was able to demonstrate a link, right? So you've got those two ends when explaining. Then your bar graph has an x-axis, has a y-axis, has bars for each question and is accurate. Then we have human rights. You give marks for explanation of the human rights. You give a mark for basic explanation. So it's just on how well you explain it will depend on which marks, right? Yeah. And then you get a mark for your opinion, for an example, right? You get 2 marks if you give the laws and opinions given on those laws. Give 2 marks for the department organization that was given. 1 mark if learners can assess whether people interviewed can protect themselves against human rights violations. Allocate 1 mark for the reason. Do not allocate marks for if no reason has been provided. So in your interviews, please make sure that you touch on this point. Can the interviewees protect themselves? Or is there evidence that they are able to or not? Then the next one, weak investigation, lacks enough information, or an excellent investigation. Right, so you would ask yourself if you've covered all your bases. And then weak evaluation again versus excellent. So basically you are working for this whole section here between whether you've evaluated it weakly or excellent, right? Evaluation, comprehended the question completely, have covered every base that needs to be covered in terms of that you have chosen, whether it be human trafficking or xenophobia, right? Then again, you go from no explanation to excellent, right? Then the next one is insufficient information or excellent amount of information. So this whole section here is dedicated to your information and the standard of that information. So when you're gathering your information, please make sure that it is adequate and you've answered everything that needs to be answered and you've answered it in an outstanding or coherent way. Right, and then the last few marks is for your bibliography. Right, you need to include a bibliography of the sources that you've used. Right, so here they say 4 more sources and is in the correct format. Okay,